You're watching Cable 2.
Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk. It's an opportunity for our stakeholders, both internal and external, to hear from some of our district experts on pertinent topics that are going to be impacting our students when we come back to school in the fall. And so we're really excited today for our conversation around our code of character, conduct, and support. And joining me today, I've got three phenomenal educators. I've got Dr. Lionel Cato, and he is our Chief Officer of Learning Supports. I've got Dr. Effie McMillan, and she is our Chief Equity Officer. And then I also have Latrell Adams. She is our Director of Social Emotional Learning and Restorative Practices. So I want to first say, that was a mouthful, all those titles. But I want to say it is really great to have all three of you here. And this topic is just an incredible topic because I really believe, and I think all of us believe, that the work that's been done with our Code of Character, Conduct, and Support is really about shifting the culture of our district. And you know, one of our core values is around being student-centered. And I think that is what this is all about. And so thank you for being here today. I'm going to be asking you some questions so that everyone out there can learn more about our code and the impact it's going to have in our schools and for our students and for our staffs as a whole. So I'm going to start with the first question. And basically, what were the main goals? Like, what happened to have us think that we needed to actually recreate or revise or create a new code of character, conduct, and support?
Well, yeah, I'll start. Appreciate the opportunity to be here also. As part of our continuous improvement processes, a little over a year ago, we looked at some data points and we analyzed some of our outcome data around discipline, some of our academic data, and it revealed some opportunities for us as a district to improve the way that we support our students. We were losing a lot of instructional time because of exclusionary practices like out-of-school suspension, in-school suspension, anything that took kids out of the classroom because of misbehaviors. We had a high number of referrals that were being written for things that were somewhat discretionary and lots of inconsistencies from school to school. And so it presented an opportunity for us to step back and analyze the way that we handle disciplinary problems, but also how do we support students and how do we build the character in them to be better people and citizens when they leave us. In addition to that, many teachers had been asking for different strategies and different tools that they could use in their classrooms to address students and to help students become better students and to learn the information that we need them to learn. And so that's kind of the impetus around the work and how we've landed where we are. It's been a very inclusive process, lots of stakeholders involved, over 300 people have been involved in the creation of the code. And it's going to be a wonderful thing. There's some information. I think Dr. McMillan has quite a bit more that she could probably share. She was very involved in this from the very beginning.
So just to add to what Dr. Cato has mentioned, it's also really important that we have consistent and common language and expectations, not only just within our schools, but also across schools. So setting those expectations and having some standardization to that is really, really important. It's important, too, to think about how we respond to students who may exhibit behaviors that is not conducive to the learning environment. And so not just always relying on punitive practices that put them out is important because they need support to learn the skills on how to manage those emotions and to be successful in their classrooms. And so a real goal of this, as Dr. Cato was mentioning our data, is reducing that lost instructional time, equipping teachers with the tools that they need to support those preventative and promotion strategies that can keep kids in classroom, And we also see a lot of disproportionality in our data, and so that's been evident for quite some time. This really gives us an opportunity to tackle that. If we're truly going to be student-centered, focused on equity so that our kids get what they need, and really address gaps that we see in so many of our data points, this is a proactive approach. This is equity in action, and this is a way to really change and shift the culture and climate within our school so all kids feel like they belong, they're welcome, they're included, and can thrive in our spaces. And so, Latrell, I'm not sure if you want to add anything.
You just said it all.
I know.
Like you said.
That's incredible. Everything. I'm hanging on every word about what this is designed to do. So, did you want to add anything?
No, I think when we look at our panorama data, it's clear that we have to do something about sense of belonging, right? And so as we, I get really excited about this code because I think that it's an opportunity for our students to have voice. It's an opportunity for our students to truly be at the heart of what it is that we do. And so I think that this, as Dr. Cato said, is about supports, it's about tools, it's about mindsets, it's about a heart set. And I think, when I think about the goal of this code is really for students to feel seen, for them to feel valued, and for them to have that welcoming sense of like, gosh, I love being at school, I want to be here, and I belong here. And even if I make a mistake, I'm surrounded by people that can support me.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you know what? After all, our students, I've been doing a lot around brain research and knowing that, there are parts of the brain that are decision-making parts that don't really fully develop until later, until age 25, I think. And so students making decisions that are potentially sporadic or not well thought out, that could be a normal thing.
Their brain's not developed.
Exactly. And so the way we respond to that as the adults and as the educators is really important, and it sounds, it can make a difference. So I'm sure with that there is so much training and layers of training, and this is not going to be like a one-time training and then we're done. Can you describe a little bit about what has happened throughout the summer to prepare us to roll this out, and what is going to continue to happen to make sure that our students feel the difference, but that our teachers are also equipped to work through some of these shifts, and so just kind of describe what all that training and support is actually going to look like.
This is actually the first time I believe that we have attempted to train every single adult in the district around one topic. Everybody has a role to play in the implementation of the code, and any adult that interacts with students is a role model, is a figure that can help us teach and to correct and guide our students. And so this summer we had 2 institutes so far. We just finished one today. The first one involved some school-based teachers and administrators. They came in and received an orientation and some information that they can take back to their schools to train the rest of their school staff, custodians, cafeteria workers. I'm doing a training with bus drivers next week. Our school resource officers had an orientation the past 2 weeks. And this week we had our student services district personnel be trained along with what we call the Tier 1 team that is kind of going to work specifically with Tier 1, what do we do for everybody, core strategies across the district, implementation in the classroom and supporting teachers directly. And so going forward, we've got students will be receiving lessons on the code when they return. There's a couple of weeks worth of lessons. It's like 6 lessons. Our parents have a portion that we're going to orient them with. We'll have some community forums. Our substitutes, our volunteers, everybody's going to get some aspect of where they figure into the code and how they can support our students and help with the implementation. So it's going to be massive. There may be some hiccups along the way, but we're going to get it done, and it's going to be a wonderful outcome for our students.
That's great.
Yeah. What I hear you saying is like shared ownership.
Yes.
So everybody having a role.
Yes.
Which is what makes something systemic and sustainable, like within a district.
And it sounds like an extremely comprehensive approach. And if we think about change. This is a change initiative, and so as we lead change, I think that we've done all the important work. I mean, 300 people helped to devise this. Like, we're in the process right now that we're trying to create the enabling conditions so that people have the tools and the training and the resources, but we know that's going to have to continue. We also know at the same time that something new that students might feel across the district is specific explicit instruction around social and emotional learning. And so I know in your role, Latrell, how will that fit into the work around the code? Because it's all part of creating this incredible culture for our students. So how does SEL fit in to this work?
You know, I'm so glad you asked that. That's such a great question, Superintendent. You know, as we were in training today, I was asking our SEL coaches, I was like, what do you think about the training? They're like, it's all SEL. And I was like, yes, I'm so glad that they're able to see the alignment and see how this is a part of this is things that we've been focused on as a district, right? And that we've been having a focus on social emotional learning and restorative practices. And what makes me really excited about this upcoming school year is our explicit SEL curriculum. And so within the code, there's embedded life learning competencies that are aligned with the CASEL 5, which are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. And so all of our students in all of our schools will be able to have that opportunity every single week to practice and cultivate those skills. And so I think that that's going to be key as we're looking at skillful and unskillful behaviors, is giving students time to cultivate those skills. And so with our SEL curriculums that we have upcoming, and we'll have trainings for that. So we're going to be doing trainings. But it's going to be great, and it's good things that are for our students that support them.
Absolutely.
And to kind of add on to what Latrell said, you know, I mentioned about the orientation, but this is a year-long process. And so there's training points all year long for our teachers to learn additional strategies, our SROs, all of the adults. Everybody will have an opportunity over the course of the year to kind of digest the different pieces of it and work on implementation with fidelity. Just like students and building their SEL skills, adults have SEL needs as well. And adults need time to learn and grow, and so we wanted to make sure that it wasn't just a one and done training, but that we have different points along the year where we can just chunk it and make sure that we're digesting it and implementing it well.
Yeah, and I think too that's important is the all hands on deck approach. So it's not just student services. We have our area superintendents that are going to be co-facilitating sessions with school leaders and all the different coaches that we have that's in instruction and across different departments. MTSS is everybody, so it's a collective effort to really put in place structures that are beneficial to all kids.
Yeah. It sounds just like a very well-designed, well-thought-out, comprehensive approach. But I love that you said, Dr. Cato, is that, there may be hiccups along the way, and it's going to be about continuous improvement. As we think about, you've had so much voice from students and staff and other people at the table. How will that student voice continue to help us make any course corrections, make any modifications as we kind of continue on this school year?
Well, part of the building the code process, one of the coolest parts of it was working with our students
They're awesome.
in focus groups. I mean, they were amazing.
They were amazing.
And we've committed to continue to do those sorts of focus groups and have sort of a steering committee to kind of review the code over the course of the year and make adjustments, looking at data and seeing what's working, what's not working, how can we improve certain aspects of the code. So definitely engaging student groups that exist, like the Superintendent's Advisory Group, student government leaders in the various schools, and our younger students, our elementary students. That would be interesting to hear what they have to say about the code as well.
Absolutely.
But we definitely have committed to do that and continue to engage them and our other stakeholders.
Okay. Are there any final thoughts that you all would want to share? We've got staff that will be hopefully watching this Let's Talk, and we've got parents that might tune in, and we've got any other final thoughts that you'd want someone to know about the Code of Character, Conduct, and Support?
So I think with our session today, it started off with a word that we were given a list of words. So what word resonated with you about the work ahead? The word that I chose was jazzed. I do love music, but jazz, because I'm really pumped about what this can really do for our students. So I'm excited, and I know it's a lot of work ahead. But as we were talking in our group, the Tier 1 people, and about strengthening our core and having those universal strategies that is evidence-based to work across the board, is that this is still a process. As you mentioned earlier, this is a system change. And with system change, it is a process in its work. And through that process, even before we came live, I was talking to Latrell and a couple other district leaders to say that through this process, not only do we give ourselves grace, because as Dr. Cato said, there will be hiccups, there are kinks we will have to work out. But while we give ourselves grace, we need to give our teachers, our school leaders grace, and reassure them and students that we're going to work hand in hand and grow and learn together. Absolutely. To really implement it and to do what's best for kids and reflect on what's working, what's not working, so that we can continue to make improvements and hear voices from all of our stakeholders for that improved process. But that grace, if we really want to expect restoration for students, we also have to expect that from adults to adults. Yes. And so creating that culture where we empower each other, but we also can take care of each other in the midst of change, which can sometimes be difficult for people to go through. And so it's the right work, it's good work. And it will definitely take all of us working together in solidarity to really make the change that's necessary to improve the culture and improve the success of all the students that we serve here.
Absolutely. I feel like right there we could drop the mic on that. Thank you all so much. Yes, I think this is going to be a game changer. And knowing that it's not easy work, it's hard work. But it is going to be rewarding. And we're going to see... our teachers will see it, our staff will see it, you all that have spent so many hours helping us get to this place, we're going to see such rewards in the end when all of our students are successful in Winston-Salem Forsyth County.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you all so much for being here.
Thank
you everyone for watching. Hope
you.
you've learned a lot about our code of character, conduct, and support. Thank you so much.
In our county, you will find a sense of community.
I enjoy our family-like atmosphere within our school and our county.
The opportunity for professional and personal growth.
I drive 2 counties over to come to Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools because it is so supportive of its teachers.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Hey, Hard, what's this? That's my resignation letter. You're resigning? Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you eat stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit. I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me. Okay. But remember, it's not what you say. It's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk. I'm excited to bring you another segment today with really important information about our child nutrition program. Again, Let's Talk is designed to bring important information that impacts our students out to the public so you can learn more about what's happening in the school district. And so with me today, I have 2 of our folks from 2 of our staff members from our child nutrition family. And our first is Alicia Cruz, who is our district manager for Chartwells. And Chartwells is our partner, is our provider of our lunch program and our breakfast programs, and they've been an incredible partner over the years. And so we have Alicia with us. And we also have a very new member of our team, and that is Ekta Patel. And she is our executive director for child nutrition for the district. And so together, these two amazing staff members work together side by side to make sure we bring a quality nutrition program to our students. So with that said, I'm going to open up to some questions to you all now. So the first question I have that I think families and students and staff might want to know is, are there any changes we should expect around our programs? And I'm not talking about free programs. I'll ask about that later. But really, are there any changes we should expect to see around how we serve, around any food options and things like that going into this new school year, the 22-23 school year?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us here and getting some more information out to families about our meals. Things will look a little bit different this year. We are going back to some pre-pandemic regulations, and so some of that change results in additional change. I think we'll see more students eating in cafeterias. We'll see more students coming into the service line so that we can see their smiling faces and give them our smiles as well. And, going back to bigger, fuller menus. The last year, in some cases, we had to pull back a little bit due to supply chain issues and various different barriers that were there. But we're looking to go back full swing this year, so we're excited.
That is good news. I didn't even think about that. That last year, a lot of the issues of change meals were because of supply chain. Have there been improvements to that? Are we starting to see that we're going to be able to have the supply you're used to having back?
I don't know that we're quite there yet, if I'm completely honest and transparent, in back to pre-pandemic, supply chain bliss, if we could call it that then, right? But what I can tell you is our team works very diligently to come up with innovative ways to continue to serve meals and, use the items that we can get to ensure that, the healthy nutritious options are there and available to kids every day.
Good. And I'm glad you mentioned nutrition, because I know I get a lot of questions from parents about nutritional value of our meals, both for breakfast and for lunch. And so can you talk a little bit about, how do we ensure that? How do we ensure that our students are getting well-balanced meals? I mean, for some of our students, these two meals are really important in their day. And so how do we guarantee that?
Well, we do that in a couple of ways. First and foremost, USDA provides guidance to our programs on specific pieces to those meals that we have to offer. And I won't dive into all of those details right now, but that includes offering fresh fruits and vegetables and ensuring, that we're offering a variety of different food options to our students. And that includes making sure that we are offering enough dark leafy greens or red-orange vegetables like a sweet potato or a carrot. And we have members on our team who build those menus to ensure that they're in compliance with USDA, but that we're giving students options that are their favorites, and that give them the opportunity to try new things and experience new flavors. And so our dietitian and our culinary team and through various different ways of feedback, we build those menus to make them so that students from all different walks of life have, options that will meet their needs.
That's good to know. I know that, when I've been to high schools, I see different serving lines, and I rarely hear high school students complaining about lunch, and maybe it's because, they can get a sandwich or a salad or a pizza or different sandwich lines. Sometimes middle school, I do hear middle schoolers telling me lunch. Every time they say, what can we do different? It always goes back to lunch. So I will tell you that as a middle school, and sometimes I'm in middle schools and I'm seeing kids skipping meals altogether. So is there choice also at middle and elementary? It might not be the same, all these different options as high school, but is there still choice?
Yes, there is still choice, and that's part of our regulations that we have to follow to be in compliance. We have to offer a variety of different different options. And we do try to take into account that all of our students may not eat a meat option, and so we try to include a vegetarian option on every menu. In our elementary menus, there aren't as many options. As you go into middle school, those options grow and expand, and really the high school is full expansion of menu opportunity, if you will.
So good. I've been seeing what is intended,
Yes,
because
yes.
that's what I've been seeing. So I know that as we think about the last couple years, the federal government allowed all of our schools to have free breakfast and lunch. I know I think that's correct. I mean, it's been incredible for our families. Like, no one had to worry. I don't think everyone needed to fill out their free reduced lunch applications and all that. We might have still asked them to do it, but they would still get free lunch and breakfast no matter what.
Right.
Can you talk about changes that are happening this year based on federal guidance and guidelines?
Absolutely. I think this is really important information for our families to have. The USDA, because they have pulled back those waivers, we are going back to pre-pandemic service models. The free and reduced meal application will come back to the forefront. We do have 48 schools in our district that are qualified as Community Eligibility Provision Schools, or CEP schools. Any students who attend those schools actually will continue to receive meals for free, both breakfast and lunch.
48 of our 80 schools, then will still, okay.
Yes, and so that's a good majority of our schools, and families can find that information on whether their child's school is a CEP school on our child nutrition website. But for those schools that are not under that CEP umbrella, families will need to complete a meal application to qualify for free or reduced meals. We did receive some exciting news, hot off the press, just about a week and a half ago, that the state of North Carolina is going to cover the copay for reduced cost breakfast and lunch for our families. And so essentially that means any child that qualifies for a reduced meal or a free meal will get their meals free of charge to the student this year. So that's really exciting news. We were really glad to hear that.
And the reduced cost, it's all based on, when parents fill out this, it's based on income, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And so if it's a reduced, it will also be free this year.
Yes, it will also be free. Yes.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, and I would say too, I forgot to mention, we have an online meal application. So paper applications are available at every non-CEP school site. Those were delivered out this week. We have an online meal application. The advantage of that is a couple-fold. We get that information pretty much instantaneously as soon as the parent hits submit. And that application is actually available in a multitude of languages, and so that eliminates some barriers for our families.
That's great.
And that link is on our child nutrition website as well.
So we've got families need to get in there and complete that, and we're going to wrap up. But I know that Ekta is 3 days. She's a veteran now. 3 days in the job, and she's going to be really just jumping right in. But I just wanted you to give us closing remarks on as you think about the future of our nutrition program, which is so important because it's meeting the basic needs our kids have so that they can learn in their classrooms.
Exactly.
What are your hopes and dreams for the future of child nutrition?
Nutrition is always my passion, and I have always worked with kids. This is just a different setting, but I will continue to work for the county, and I'll do my best as much as I can. We all know nutrition is a cultivating habit. Whatever we teach our kids, pretty much a lot of things that carry on as an adult. I was a picky eater, and I'm still a picky eater, so I definitely don't want to be a picky eater. What I want to do with our kids is always making sure that they have variety, they have options to pick, and I do not want no child to stay hungry while they're in school, because most of the time they spend is in school, and having that time, meeting those needs, nutritionally needs, impact their classroom performance, their behavior, and that is very much tied with education. So my dream will always be to make sure that no child stays hungry while they're in school, having a variety of options to pick from, and of course, everything works with budget, so I always want to make sure that I'm sticking with that as well.
Thank you so much. So thank you. I hope you learned a lot more information today about child nutrition in Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools and how we are focused on making sure that our students' needs are met, our basic need of nutrients and of just eating and food and health and wellness are met so that our students can learn. So thank you so much to both of you for joining us today. Thank you.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
In our county, you will find a sense of community.
I enjoy our family-like atmosphere within our school and our county.
The opportunity for professional and personal growth.
I drive 2 counties over to come to Winston-Salem and Forsyth County Schools because it is so supportive of its teachers.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just, please, don't leave. Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of Let's Talk. I'm very excited today to bring you an episode on transportation. This is a hot topic. We have so many students that are transported to school every day through our yellow buses. And so today we're going to have a conversation about transportation. And with me, I have our Director of Transportation, Ronaldo Branson. So thank you so much for being here today, Ronaldo.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You've got a huge job to get. I think earlier we were talking and you said last year I think we transported about 17,000 students to school in a year. In most years it's about 32,000.
That's correct.
Students riding buses. Goodness. So that is a huge undertaking, and I know how hard you and how hard our mechanics and how hard our bus drivers and how hard our route corridor supervisor and everybody on the transportation team, how hard you guys work to make sure that we get our kids to school and get them there on time. So I want to start by asking you a question about, what can we expect the first week of school? I know that, the first week is a week that we're trying to get kind of kinks out and all that, but what should we expect? What should parents expect the first week of school regarding riding buses?
So we do have the Here Comes the Bus app. So the first week of school, everyone should be getting their notifications of the buses on the way. I think the most thing that everyone should keep in mind is that in the afternoons we will have delays because we have a lot of car riders the first week of school, and that car traffic tends to delay buses. Also, the schools are focused on getting students on the right bus that first week of school, and so that causes some delays. So I would ask for everyone to be patient with us that first week of school because of those things.
Yeah, oh gosh, great point. So the first week, so the app that parents can have, so they can actually track when the bus is going to get to their stop in the neighborhood?
Yes.
Is that what the app does?
Yes.
And also coming home in the afternoon?
Yes.
All right, and I appreciate us letting parents know that the first week of school buses are delayed coming home. And you're right, especially elementary schools. I remember being an elementary principal, we had to make sure the kids were getting on the right bus, and that does take time. So thank you for those points. So a lot of our families have already been up, letting us know they need to stop, and so those stops have been being routed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How much longer, when should parents, when is that deadline that parents should have already requested those routes? And if they haven't and they need a bus route, what is the way they should go about getting one for their child?
So the deadline to request routes was July 28th.
Okay.
Although that deadline has passed, we still need to make sure that parents are still requesting, and we're still working that up through next week to try to get all those stops processed. It's very important that parents contact their school. Don't call transportation, you contact your school. Make sure your address is updated at the school because that's how we get our information.
Okay. So when a parent needs a bus stop and they haven't asked for one yet, they go to their school, someone at the school can actually assign the bus stop, or does the school work with transportation? Like, how long does it take once they go to the school for them to know that they're going to have a bus stop?
So when they go to the school verifies their address and they update it in Power School.
Okay.
That Power School talks with Tim's at night, and so that information comes into Tim's at night, and then we start the routing process from there.
Okay. Gosh, it's a massive undertaking,
Yes.
I'm sure. And actually designing all those routes, when you have students not just going to a neighborhood school, but going to different schools within a zone, getting to magnet schools, we have a pretty massive responsibility on our hands about getting kids to school, because we've got a pretty complex setup.
As you mentioned, the school of choice. We have school of choice, so we may have 5 buses going to one neighborhood because they're able to choose one of the 5 schools.
Yeah, that adds a layer, and I think that's important for folks to know that those choices do add a layer. But I know you guys have been working really hard to like make sure routes are pretty efficient. I think a big part of the work you do is around efficiency and making sure that that the routes that the routes are done in a way that we can get kids to school on time. I know that is probably one of our priorities for transportation. It's safety first.
It's safety
and
first.
On time.
And on time.
Second.
And we can't give everybody a home stop. Everyone wants a home stop. We can't give everyone a home stop.
Okay.
We need to make the stop efficient for everyone in the community. So it may be a corner stop and not necessarily a home stop.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good to know too. So thank you for that. So knowing that it's not door-to-door pickup.
Right.
It's actually, there's got to be a stop that kids in that neighborhood can go to get picked up. So I think that's really important to know. Are there any changes that our families should know about this year heading in? Like major changes? I mean, there might be stop changes that those families would know about, but are there any major changes within transportation?
I think the only major change is that we did reduce some of our magnet shuttle stop locations because of the low ridership, and with us trying to be efficient in our routing and trying to get everyone on time, we did look at that and we reduced 6 of the magnet shuttle stops.
Okay, so we've done some reduction. Those families are being notified?
Yes, they're being notified.
Okay, all right. And so that's I know that, again, safety, being on time is going to require that we create some efficiencies within our system. So that's good to know. Last night at our Board of Education meeting, I was very pleased to share that our bus driver vacancies are actually down.
Yes.
This year.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I feel great about that. We've done a huge push this summer for recruiting and trying to get drivers in, and so that has helped tremendously.
That's so good. I was thrilled that I think we were down to 40. Last year, I think going into the school year, we were like around 80.
Right,
and
87.
We're down 87.
And
we're down
like
to
43.
43. Thank you. You got those numbers right there.
Yes.
And that we've got some people processing still, and we've got applications on file.
Yes.
So we could go. Wouldn't it be amazing to actually start the year with all of those vacancies filled? And that would be incredible. And so that will help with people not having to do double runs, and and getting kids to school on time.
That's correct.
And then our goal is to actually then pick our students up and take them home on time as well.
Yes.
And I'm feeling really good about this school year. And last year, I know the first couple of weeks were rough for you, for everyone around transportation. There were things that were just, not predicted that happened, that I know you all have been working hard to not have that replicated this year. Can you talk about some improvements that will avoid that kind of chaos in the first 2 weeks? I know last year, you're always going to have some delays, and people have to expect that with more traffic and all that, but what are some of the improvements that have been made since last year?
Well, we have increased our staff, our routing staff. Last year, we only had 2 routers. We do have 3 routers this year, and they've worked hard this summer to look at the routes. Our goal this year is to know ahead of time where are we. So we won't go open school the first day of school and we have this big mess. We want to let you know that the first day of school, we know we may have some late or delayed issues, but we want to give that information up front. So that we don't find out the first day of school, and it catches all of us off guard.
Yeah, Beautiful. So more routers, and then just better communication channels,
Yes,
so that
yes.
families know what to expect. I think that's going to be huge. I do want to thank you and the entire transportation team, our bus drivers, our mechanics, our routers, our corridor supervisors, and I know I'm missing titles, so I just want to say everyone in transportation, because getting our students to school on time is so important to their education. I mean, they can't miss 1 minute, and we know that you all are working hard to do that and are committed to that.
Yes.
So thank you so much. And so for all those watching, families, remember, we need to make sure that if you need a bus stop, we've got to get that in soon so that that can be routed. We want to remind you again, first week, use the app to know when that bus is going to get there. Know that in the afternoon there can be some delays, and we're going to do our very best this year. I'm excited about the changes that I'm hearing, and we're just going to have an incredible opening of our 22-23 school year. So thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on your school channel, Cable 2.